Laws is well known across the right-wing sphere. He has a laudable track record with many years behind him of publicly confronting the mass migration issue. He is extremely outspoken and is particularly active on Twitter, where he has somehow managed to not get banned. But his best work, I think, is his Dover documentary videos, where he filmed illegal migrants arriving. It was a simple thing to do, but it gained the public crucial awareness that has layered with other efforts since to build the growing awareness of the problem that threatens us. Being in the public eye, however, has not been without its cost. He has been subjected to all manner of attacks, from slander and defamation to being outright arrested and prosecuted, often for things that would not be considered criminal at all if someone else was to do it. None of these ever stick, of course, but it's the process itself that is the punishment. They have dragged him through the system over and over, and it has only served to galvanize him. Steve has done excellent work in highlighting the gross hypocrisy of the system. His activities have invigorated nationalist sentiment, and his aggressive journalistic methods have earned him the moniker of the migrant hunter. He has also acquired the usual tags of racist, anti-Semite, and white supremacist, but they don't sound quite so cool. So please welcome to the stage, Steve Laws.
Okay, so can you hear me all right? So I'm assuming most of you guys never thought you'd see me back here, but I am very grateful to be back here. Thanks, Mark, for inviting me back. Looking in front of me right now, this is clearly the largest nationalist organisation in the country. It's not even close. So thank you for having me to speak. Mark's asked me to speak on remigration. I'm assuming most of you guessed that anyway. The Migrant Hunter, thank you for that. Suppose it's quite a classy nickname. At the time I wasn't so keen, but now I'm probably leaning into it a little bit. But let me get started. So like the Africans, yes I know, another Martin Luther King quote, like the Africans, I have a dream. But my dream's a little bit better. My dream is to see millions and millions of immigrants removed from our country. Some people may get a little bit uncomfortable when you use this language, but the reality is, without millions of people being removed from this country, we are not going to have a future for our people. Our children are going to grow up as hated minorities, and that to me is unacceptable. I do not care if these people came over illegally, I do not care if they came over legally, I do not care if they were born here, I do not care if their grandparents were born here. These people have to leave. This is not their lands, this is ours, and we will not tolerate it. So remigration, what is it? To simplify, remigration is the act and/or process of returning immigrants to their country of origin. Now, there are a number of people and organisations that will tell you remigration is only deporting the illegal immigrants and the foreign criminals and voluntary repatriation. That is a lie. That is not what remigration is. Remigration is reversing our demographic decline by any means necessary. There is no person in this country that does not belong here that has the right to demographically replace us. We will not tolerate that under any circumstances. So why is it important? Why is remigration important? I think it's clear to see that without remigration, we are seriously in an awful lot of trouble. The problems are clear as day. Children getting raped, people getting murdered. These aren't just rare occurrences, these are everyday situations, and these are happening by immigrants. They're not just happening by illegal immigrants, these are legal immigrants imported by our government. Many of these have been born here, and they're allowed to roam our streets, rape, murder, and steal off our people, and we're not going to tolerate it anymore. We want every single one of these people removed from our country. It's not going to happen voluntary, and unfortunately, this isn't going to be a peaceful process for a lot of people. There's going to be an awful lot of hardship for our own people and for the immigrants involved through remigration. But the alternative is far worse. I do not want my children growing up as a hated minority in their own country. I do not want my children to have to look over their shoulder when they sit on a bus. I do not want my children to have to live in fear. That, to me, is unacceptable. I will spend the rest of my life campaigning to make sure these people are removed so our people have a future. I do not care about the smears. I do not care about the labels thrown at me. Call me racist, call me a Nazi, call me an anti-Semite. I couldn't care less. I really couldn't, because at the end of the day, our people come first. That is our priority. Our people are our family, and we will not tolerate it. So there are a number of organisations that campaign and call for remigration. I used to be a member of one of them called the Homeland Party. Boo, yes, I know, right? So these parties, they will tell you that remigration is only voluntary. It's not, okay? And these people, they're trying to pretend not to be radicals. They're trying to hide who they are. Do not hide who you are. Be proud of who you are. I stand in front of them, my face out, my name out. I do not care. I want these people gone from my country. I'm planting my flag in the sand. I'm not moving, and we will move the public to our position. For time and time again, for decades now, nationalists have always used the argument of, we've got to move to the middle ground. We've got to welcome the normal people. Let's open our arms to them. Let's water the message down a little bit. We'll gain more support. It's a lie. It's a pipe dream. It doesn't happen. The only way to get the people to accept what we want is to be unapologetic in our position and drag them there. Without doing that, we will never get them there. And it's as simple as that. Some people are uncomfortable with my language, and I can understand I do use tougher language than most people, but our people have been under a spell. They've been hypnotized for decades, and they need to be radicalized, and they need to be radicalized fast. And the only way to do that is through vigorous propaganda. And unfortunately, that's where we're at the moment. Our people need waking up. And it sounds cliche, oh, we need to wake our people up. But it's not just a case of waking them up and they're red-pilled now and they understand all of these questions. No, our people need to be woken up to the point where they are active on the street, they are campaigning, they are vigorously calling for what they demand. And they're not afraid to do so, because at the moment, our people are afraid to speak up. They're afraid they're going to lose their job. I've been through it myself. I've lost jobs. I've had my house raided multiple times. I've been arrested. I've been put through false charges, all for speaking about immigration. And most of those were when I was only talking about illegal immigration, which is mostly a civic nationalist position at the best. Like, it's not even extreme to say that illegal criminals shouldn't be in our country. That's a basic common sense position. So nationalists need to plant their flag in the sand. They need to be unapologetic, and they need to stand there and say, enough is enough. This is where we're at. This is what we want, and we do not apologise for who we are. We're proud to be nationalists. We love our country, and we do not care what these traitors and these foreign subversives have to say about that. This is England, this is Britain, this is our land, not theirs. And then there'll be other movements such as UKIP and the Tommy Robinson crowds, and these people will tell you that it's fine if they integrate, it's okay. They go down the pub, they drink a beer. But integration is a lie. These people do not integrate, it's a myth. Whether you've got Sikhs and Hindus, or you've got Muslims or Jews, they all live in their own little communities, they all keep amongst their own, and they shop at their own stores, they send their children to their own schools, they speak their own languages, they stick amongst their own, which I do not blame them so. I would only want to be around English people, but the point is, this is our land, and they're now being given away pockets of our country to foreigners who have no right to it. Not only that, these people hate us and despise us for what our ancestors done in bettering the world. And a simple fact is that they do not belong here. And you can beat around the bush and you can say, we've got a nice immigrant, this geezer's nice, this one's fine, he's against the illegals. It means nothing. At the end of the day, they all have to go. We need to reverse the demographic decline. When I was born in 1991, the demographics were 95% white British, roughly. So in my lifetime, I've watched the demographics decline down to around 74% at the last census. But if we're all being obvious, I'd say we're around 70, 69% of the population now. So in my lifetime, I've witnessed severe decline. I am literally a product of what they've created. So what can we do to campaign for remigration? Now, there's the argument we could start a party. We could start a new party. We're campaigning on remigration. I'm telling you right now, it's a waste of time. I've been there, I've done it, and it doesn't work. Not only that, once you become a party, you cannot become radical. You cannot push the envelope. You cannot move people to our positions. The only reason we have people like Rupert Lowe echoing our talking points is because we've been unapologetic in our position. We've created a pathway for these people to move in. This is why we need our radicals. We need people to drag the window as far as possible so the politicians can move into another safer position and say, okay, it's safe to call a deportation of the Boris wave now. We can call for deportation of legal immigrants because now that pathway has been made accessible by nationalists. But it will never be made accessible if everyone is too busy saying, no, we need to meet with the middle grounds. We've got to water down our message. Let's not scare away the normies. No, let's scare them, because what our future is going to be like is terrifying. I do not want my children raped. I do not want my children killed. I do not want my friends and family to live in a country where they have to look over their shoulder and live in fear. And that's the direction we are going. I'm quite lucky where I live in the country. I live in the southeast. The demographics are okay. I live near the seaside. There's not too many immigrants about. But some of you guys live in these big cities, and you cannot even get on public transport without fearing for your life. If you walk around as an open nationalist in a very multicultural, multiracial area, your life is very much at risk. Many of us here have had incidents where immigrants have either tried to attack us or, with the support of the state and groups like Antifa and Hope Not Hate and Searchlight and so forth, our addresses have been doxed, our locations have been given away, our lives have been put in danger. This all happens because we're calling for remigration and mass deportations. And why are we calling for this? Because we want to protect our people. That's the only goal in this. We're not going around saying, we want to deport these people because we don't like them. It's irrelevant whether we like them or not. It's not personal, it's necessary. So what we need to do is build for 2030. Reform has the next election won. It would be suicidal and stupid for any nationalist to stand against them at that time. What we have to do is campaign and pressure these candidates, who many of them are sympathetic to our message. Of course, Reform will never be our guys. I was in the party, I was kicked out for calling Sunak an Indian. This is how ridiculous the party is. But if we get a Reform government and they do deport the illegal immigrants and they remove some foreign criminals, it gives us an extra year or two. It's not great, it's not perfect, and it's not a huge strategy. But dragging these politicians to our position is important, because as soon as these politicians move to our position, the public follows them. The public doesn't follow us because we're scary to them. They look around at us and they go, they've got no real-world influence, despite everyone echoing our talking points. They've got no money behind them. They've got no infrastructure, which is true. Which is true. We haven't got any infrastructure. We haven't got vehicles to just call them. We haven't got a huge amount of manpower. So that's where our time needs to be. That's where our energy needs to be. In this hall now, we have over 200 people. By next year, it should be 500 people. This is the approach we should be. Nationalists need to come out and stand together. So by 2030, when Reform get into government, we can hold their feet to the fire. We have to use a similar logic and approach that Momentum used within Labour. That's an approach we have to take. Now, remigration has been done before, although in very small terms. Even today it's happening. In Pakistan, they're deporting Afghans. In America, they're running around rounding up illegals, although the numbers are very vague. It's still happening, which shows you there is an appetite for this, even under populist leaders. But make no mistake, we have a very long way to go. Only under this Labour government, from July 24 to July 25, only a mere 35,000 people have been deported. That's 25,937 voluntary and 9,115 forced. That's pathetic. That's ridiculous. We've had more than that come over just illegally through the dinghies, let alone the millions that are flooding in through the borders. But the fact that Labour governments are deporting people, the fact that Labour governments are entering and using our rhetoric, sure, they don't believe in it. They never will. They're not even going to implement it. But the people listening to them believe it. The normal people sitting at home watching the news, when they hear the Prime Minister say, we're living in an island of strangers, and then they walk through town and all they can see is browns and blacks and all sorts of foreigners. And it's clear as day what is happening. It's clear as day that we are an island of strangers. When I was younger, there was a sense of community where I grew up. I grew up in a council estate in Folkestone. Everyone was white British. We had a couple of Irish or so forth, but overall, it was a very homogenous society. I could go into any person's house on my street, and we could all go in, we could have a cup of tea, you could make a drink, no one would care, everyone would look out for each other. But now, in the same estate, it's full up with foreigners, no one even talks to their neighbours, the kids are not playing outside the front. It's a completely different community, and that's changed in the space of 30 years. What's going to happen in another 30 years? Where is England and Britain going to be, and Scotland and Wales? Where are they going to be in 100 years? Are we even going to exist as a people, or are we going to play the minority game? Are we going to play the minority game in our country and be hated minorities and beg for crumbs off the table? Or are we going to say, no, we want the whole lot. We are not begging for crumbs. This is our country. We're taking the lot. So, essentially, the borders are still open. Millions are flooding in. And the solution is remigration. Remigration is what we want. Remigration is what everyone needs. You can call it mass deportations, you can call it expulsion, you can call it what you want, I do not care. But ultimately, this is what we need. And there are ways to force politicians to adopt your talking points. So, it sounds a bit silly, but the communist approach is relentless propaganda of pushing a message and throwing it down people's throats consistently. That's what I've done for the last year and a half with remigration. Not to sort of toot my own horn a little bit, but the term remigration was not even a word in the UK, really, in terms of the political scene a year and a half ago, until we adopted the stance and dragged it through the window and forced it into the most popular position in the country now. It's a similar approach I took when I used to film The Illegals down at Dover. So I'd stand there every day, consistently, just film the boat. Another boat's come in today, show the numbers. Another boat's come in today, show the numbers. Consistently, every day, repeating the same talking points until people are sick of it and they don't want to hear it. And then carry on some more, because they need to hear the solution. Everyone talks about the problems. Everyone knows what's at stake. Everyone knows what direction we're going. Let's talk about the solutions. Let's offer real-world solutions to the people. Yes, remigration is not going to happen without our guys in power. But here's a tough pill that nationalists are going to have to take. We're not going to be the guys that implement remigration. We're going to be the ones that influence those that do. And this is where we have to understand our position in this movement. We are not all going to get elected and we're going to take a government and we're going to be the majority in the House of Commons. I would love it. Every single one of us would. But we have to live in the real world. The real world is, a lot of these politicians are sympathetic. I won't name names, but a lot of MPs reach out to me privately, members of the House of Lords, famous commentators and news politicians and whatever you want to call them. All of these people reach out to me and ask for information about mass deportations and remigration. They send me their posts and ask, is that okay to say? Like, a lot of these people are entering an area of politics that they're not used to, they're not comfortable with. We've entered a new land. Before, nationalists have always been apologising and saying, I'm sorry I'm a nationalist, I'm sorry I want my country back. No more. This is what we need to do. We need to be tough, unapologetic, and radical. No more sensible nationalism. No more Kenny Smith nonsense. We need real nationalists, we need real world change, and we need thousands of nationalists. It's no good celebrating that, yes, I've just launched remigration now. We've got around 550 members, but that's nothing to celebrate. Sure, it's great, I've got 550 guys that want to come out and campaign, but I need 50,000 guys. I don't need 500 guys. And this is where we need to be. We need to be building. We need to be building infrastructure, gaining funds, buying property, buying vehicles. So when anything happens in the country, we've got the manpower to send a coach of nationalists to one place, or we've got the manpower to go, okay, a nationalist house has just burned down, we're going to send 30 guys to go and help them. This is how we can make real world change. But at the moment, there's so many different organisations, there's so many different groups. This is one of the main reasons I'm here today. Mark invited me to speak, and I want to show a true show of unity. I'm not a member of PA. I probably won't join as a member of PA. That doesn't mean I don't like you guys. But I have my own vision of campaigning on remigration. That's my main priority. And all of these other organisations, I won't name all the other ones, but we all need to come together as a collective. We don't have to be under the same banner and everyone follows orders from this guy or this guy, because that's a pipe dream and it's never going to happen. But we can collaborate. We can work together. We can We can work on projects together, we can make campaigns together, we can share resources, we can share money. If someone's got a vehicle but another person's got a venue, we can work together. There's no reason why we can't. We're all in this together. It's our country and we all want the same thing. So, when it comes back to remigration, people always get terrified and they say, what about my mixed race cousin? Or what about my friend from the Congo? I don't care, okay? You may be upset, you may be unapologetic about that, but I simply do not care. Your emotional baggage and your skin in the game does not mean the whole country has to collapse because you've made a decision. That's your choice of what you've made, and now you're going to have to deal with it, unfortunately. There are going to be tough decisions that need to be made. I don't expect everyone to take the radical stance that I take, but you have to be calling for deportations. You have to be calling for the removal of legal immigrants, and you have to be calling for it consistently. Whenever you talk to a politician, a journalist, even a random activist, anyone in the street, talk about remigration. Tell them the solution. Tell them you do not have to live like this. You do not have to walk down in your own streets, looking over your shoulder, fearing for your life and your family's life and your safety of the whole country. You shouldn't have to live like this. It's absolutely ridiculous. So plant your flag in the sand and demand total remigration. Not a little bit of remigration, not 1 or 2, not a couple of million, all of them. Every single one. Because we are radical, and the things we're proposing are radical. And this is what you have to understand. Don't lie to people and say, oh, it's not so bad, it's going to be fine, nothing bad's going to happen. Of course it's going to be a bit of a hardship. We're going to be removing millions of people. There's going to be some economic turmoil. There's going to be a lot of changes taking place. But it's either that or we lose our homelands. And which would you rather? Let's be clear. Would you rather hurt the feelings of a few people, a couple of good guys may get caught up in the madness, or we lose our homeland, we have nowhere else to return? Because we have nowhere to run to. We have nowhere else that we can go for safety. There's nobody in the world that is going to save us. Nobody's going to come and protect us. It's on us. As a people, it's on us. So we can either willow away, apologise, be all nice and calm, try and get some crumbs off the table, or we can say, no, we want the lot. We're not giving in, and we're taking everything. So, essentially, we need remigration now, and I'm going to leave you with this, because I feel like this man is a great man anyway, but the quote's very fitting, and it follows me daily. So, it's all there. It's all waiting. Of course it can be done. It depends upon ourselves. And that sticks with me every single day because it can be done. Nothing is impossible. People will tell you that you can't remove those people, you can't deport millions of people, but you can import millions of people. That's fine, but you can't remove them. So stand your grounds, hold your line in your position, total remigration, millions have to go. Thank you.